Oh. Ha ha ha. Well, this is all very convenient. This is the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Pressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have their hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed and how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, Charles already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up! What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. Let's explain. I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? It's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim with spread. Is that right? That is correct. Usual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sign that this particular poison was used. See, I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated her body. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed the woman in whose back with whose blade. Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison!
Objection!
That can be explained by the poison being on the blade.
Objection!
Nope, no poison on the blade. Haha, gotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving this blade of the weapon used to attack the victim has no traces of poison on it whatsoever. Does she have like a prick in her hand? Can't really see her hand at all anyways. Piercing a lung. Huh. Let me get this down. Facts. A skillfully established by their friends in this trial. Turned out to be a headline making red herring. Is that about right? Hug. Well. Order, order, order. What? Where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? It's an undeniably obvious answer to that. Lady most likely imbibed it. Wait, she drank it? How about I look at the photograph here, as you can see. A bottle of carbonated water in a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either. Somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. They look for a great front-page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. Make no sense that I poisoned the woman, would I? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. A little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? Ooh, let me capture those white eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. I think this trial is not destined to end yet after all. Hereby call upon the witnesses to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. I claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. Explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. never tried to run or hide anything from anybody in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's many memoism. For a moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, and slipped right back into obscurity again. So where is this trial going to take us? Excellent question. Ah, yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman. That very fact proves I'm innocent. Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I've already poisoned her? I heard the student girl and the pompous English murderer arguing. It got my goat. Of course, we're going to punish the Brit for what she did. Someone else would have to see justice done. Oh my god. So you admit it then. Everything that happened as I described. That you're the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the reed screen. You blame this miserable country of ours. Country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. That's why I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Without banging in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged a blade of sweet justice right in there. I don't like this guy. Someone who spends his life seeing that truth is told. I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there's somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. The pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. Implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. Suddenly, snap! Miss Journo here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. Witness had administered her poison himself. He would only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. Therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. I might be able to prove otherwise. The problem is I don't know how to combine evidences. Justice at last! Unbelievable. They made so much progress in proving his guilt. Is he going to get away with it now? Kazuma-sama, Naruhodo-san. Never stopped looking away forward to the judge's final gavel. Very well, the counsel will proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency? Okay. So, the issue is, the pen's ink is actually the poison.
Hold it!
Some maintain you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, it'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. Aha! I'll let my voice rest a little bit for the upcoming breakdown and full case explanation. Assuming that does happen next. Shut up, Ouchie. That's not how the law works at all.
Hold it!
Aha. The flag of justice. A blight. We're gonna press everything. more than the restaurant. Beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. John H. Wilson. Professor of Medicine. Assistant to Herlock Sholmes. Acquitted and sent back a free woman. Ray?
Hold it!
Filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom. Hell yeah! Discussing the stolen poison. It's true. Certainly had knowledge of the new poison. Truly, no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. All visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. If you manage to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. Master Professor Misakotama until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. I left and searched from top to tail. Rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. But Soseki-san expressed such interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm getting ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with deadly poison. With my own enemy in the eye, surely you can understand that. None of my suspicions were true. I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. Told her if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster. How did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Memo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I don't mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Uh-oh. Your methods cannot detect it. How do you have known that? Susan, deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. Details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this! The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Ugh! Follow Mini Memo-san? As a journo and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Mini Memoism. He's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article. He based it off what he overheard from outside the hut. Aha. That's what it's all about. You were trying to cover up the fact you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about arguing with me. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Point is, if you poisoned someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab the person as well.
Hold it!
Let's talk about this a little more. That's horse dung. Like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even taste it. Completely reckless. Though, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer, as it happens. If the victim had taken the poison, she would have not only minutes away from death. Yet this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There must have been a good reason for that. The porter who gave the poison to Miss Bread. Clearly. He must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there's one very crucial change in the situation. Porter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishman. When Mimosad first found out the exact nature of the poison he used, be the key here. The victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the porter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. No question this man is responsible for Miss Bread's murder. Think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poison. Why would he do that? Huh? Near the mouth or a wound. Oh, to make us think that it was on the knife! Everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. In order to do that, let's try to glean more information. I pressed everything, didn't I? I don't have enough things left to bravely go about doing this without a save file backup. Excuse me. Sorry. So it's either the poison article, the fountain pen, or the knife, I think. I'm gonna start with the article.
Objection!
It's the article. Thank you, Swirgles. I can think of one reason. What? Before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did. There can be no question of that. We're all in the laboratory together. We're all told it is a terrible toxin. One more important fact to consider. According to this witness, Mimami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Mimami-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If I had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Ugh! Which means Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Mimami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Mimami-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What's worrying information? Information on which he subsequently included his newspaper article, namely, the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. Furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison. to reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everybody in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. And Bami-san was being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered the unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. Ugh! In other words, someone like you. Right in Many Memo! Yeah! We've got him on the ropes! It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. It was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. You quickly realized it was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms, it was so traceable. Listening in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. You already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. You hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back with a reed screen. What? What good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brent before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. It hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would have even suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a bag into the middle of the victim, plunging a bag into the middle of the victim's knife. You guys know what I meant. I presented as sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. The prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward. Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely. Prosecution's evasive response clearly shows, much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope. Lost hope? Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on the earth. I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. So the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so pleasant, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. The professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos, every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Surely, the easy task is to highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. To avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blowing the story wide open. See, I write in Many Memo, a mere reporter from the Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen the poison in the professor's laboratory. We've got his pen! We just need to test it for poison. Can't be any question. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. If that's the case, we identified the poison itself as the definitive evidence we need. Whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? The point is this. There is one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. Ah! Heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have this witness stole the poison on that day in question? Pen!
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. Arg! A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? Magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write through many thousands of kanji characters. You'd ink that arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago. Bah, I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens suck. Well, as forward-thinking men of words, obviously I love my fountain pens. Suck up a soupcon of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right, fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talking of sucking up ink have? Arg! Just as it's possible to suck ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word, can this really be? Well, Mini-Memo-san? We saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day. You used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Grr!
Objection!
More absurdity! That never happened! True, we've heard that there are procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. Anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? Oh, a little ashamed to say, for fear of offending our guests, such detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I find the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini-Memo-san. The crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? Natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim is distracted for a moment, drop the pen after you empty the poison from it into her glass. There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of our outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand. No, that can't be. Because how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? You can see for yourself if you examine the evidence. There appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. The reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen. No, this pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? Woo-ha-ha! Is that how a modern justice system works, does it? Sort of thing if my pen runs dry. So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I've got plenty in reserve. Ugh! Claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. It's wild speculation, nothing more. Thought you could bring me down on a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that. Think again. Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. Therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove he did it with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Mini-Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Sometimes you do well to remember, as we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then, this will be the final piece in the puzzle. Let's can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison, the chemical reagent.
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Ah! Yes, the poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. Ah, a reagent? What? One drop of the contents in this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Mini-Memo-san. It's all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. Arg! Herg! No, you can't. I won't. crimes are bad enough. At least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, client requests permission to carry out a test on the fountain pen at once. Yeah. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold the high as a civilized nation, bowing to foreign power. I took up arms as mighty pen. I fought in the battlefield of news, justice, righteousness, memorism, many memo. There's no Susato. This is Ryutaro. Why am I on the witness stand? That was a Ryutaro takedown. As the first drop of their agent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it's clear to everyone present. The defense just assaulted a witness. Correct. But you know, the witness did it. I saw it there in the lab, the poison. The devil got hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. Excused myself, then emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Menimemo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made and expose it in an article. And it was a secret project after all, too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? Under the head intended to quiz her on a situation, that's all. As a reporter, a known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face! Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman protruding to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways. You ignorant little plebeian. What the heck? Close that. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to free press, it's really very depressing. See our superior ways in the West, you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into that cave you came from. Wow! I know she's an awful person, but damn, that's what I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. I second that request. He may have actually killed someone, but she killed someone and was about to get away with it. Suppose it was my journal spirit, getting all fired up. She did have it coming, let's be honest. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? Rather than talk about justice. Surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you thought. There's no justice in the press. After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. Finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? Mind you, your physician witness, be careful of what you say. Oh, come on, doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. Yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset, a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone on between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? Done my research, dug up all the dirt. It's all ready to be published. You know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. Came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, we're going to crush the free press. What choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Menimemo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Jezail Brett. What? Truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. We did got him. Appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes. Ahem. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. Truly, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh. Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. It's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly. The future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts? Aochi! I, Taketsuya of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice! If there's any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path to Aochiism! Aochiism. One hopes that's the only way he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Spring of my top knot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. Ah! Whew! He didn't kill himself. There was no Sudoku today. But what about the turtle? Now, in regards to the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Moment of silence for the hair we lost today. I've reached my final verdict. We hereby find you... Fireworks? Nope, just Sakura petals. Okay. It's not as fancy as the British court, but, you know, at least there's no jurists to ruin the whole affair. We did it! You're free! We saved the day! It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. That's all I can do just to stay standing. Oh shoot, that was, I should have played yesterday. I didn't know it was on the 13th. So Susato, when are you going back to Britain? Guys, I'm still Ryutaro. Right? Together we made it. Woohoo! The reason I'm still here is because of you. You did good work, Rei. Standoffish. Caution to the wind. I don't know if she's directly interested about that, but I feel like there's a chance they might hook up at some point. At least I hope there's a chance. She definitely has more respect for him after this. She thought about him a lot today in court. There's a good chance. I hope she's going back to Britain to help them out. Goodbye, Ryutaro. What? What is happening? Ah, Soseki-san, Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Susato Mikotaba. I did it on. So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea Miss Susato-san, Esquire-S. Jiralukam student Naruhodo-san, Esquire's cousin. Astonishingly astounding ace attorney. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. An extraordinary corundum it was. The unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. Hey, those are the exact same jurors! And look, you can vaguely make out the silhouette of Van Zeeks on the left. I seem to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. It's a truly impressive disguise. No idea, and I'm Chief Inspector of the Police Bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less? Not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. I'm not a patch on you, Inspector. Well, I'm a professional, of course. I also worry about Hosonaga at times. 9 months ago, he was a waiter. And then on the boat, he was disguised as a sailor and got beaten up by the captain. And then Kazuma died. Now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? Talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah yes, it was the English doctor she killed, as I understand. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited over to Japan personally. Mystery is, why did she kill him? Now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. Voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. That man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. The English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. If that's really true. The poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. No! Iris! As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study, around that time you were born. Grandmother told me about it. Returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. I also serve another role as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Uh-huh. In case I'm sure you understand, there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Did that long sea voyage found you in fine health, Father? Was there something in Great Britain you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me. You reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato. I'm sorry, my dear. I simply can't. Arg! Let me go! Oh, it's this guy. Ha! Ha! Scoop! Manimamo-san! One throw wasn't enough for you. I got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Giselle Brent, you mean? No, not her. Student of law left for Great Britain 8 months ago. Huh? What? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. No, another guy never made it to England. They died on the steamship. Then he'll never... Ah! I didn't expect to find him here. What were you officers playing at? Judge? Judge? It's coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. Meet with him. I'll be there shortly. I don't know what's going on! Your Excellency. Ha 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 ha. Trial's over. I'm not your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. You say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susato. Did you know all along, from the start of the trial? Ha ha ha. A judge sees everything, Susato. Couldn't let you take that risk. Seishiro here. Had it known, then he'd recognize you. So I'd have worn his ear beforehand as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Where you go, Father? Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation on a later date. Well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What do you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha! I don't know what's going on anymore. Giselle Brent about Dr. Wilson. Now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma. Judicial Assistant Mikotama-san is Squares. Could I have a word? Yes, of course, Sasuke-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I don't know why your caps locks keep getting turned on. Believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. Oh? Sasuke, tell us! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness local student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotama, who wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in. Of course, I could never forget. 2. Mainly with the second case. What? Wait, second case? Case of the haunted lodgings. Wait, that's the first case. There's a second case. There's a... There's one... Huh? Damn straight this story's not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in.
What second case?
Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again.
Oh!
Yours, Susato.
He's almost in! She's got the longing! What the hell? Okay! I have a variety of questions. The Memoirs of the Clouded Coker... Huh? Hold on. If I right-click here, it's going to take me to the start of the next case. But, that's not what the case was called. In the first game, the Clouded Kokoro was what it was, but it wasn't the memoirs. It was the adventure, or the case. But why is there a second thing going on? Is it Shakespeare Man? Is he finally going to be relevant to the story? Or the other person? There's a lot that doesn't make sense. And we're going to have to figure that out next time, because we got through all of Chapter 1, and that was my game plan going into the stream. It took less time than the first case, actually, which I think is a positive. There are only 2 parts instead of 3, but the first game basically had to build the characters, build the world a bit, etc., etc. Anyways, thanks for coming out and watching. I'm currently planning to do Chapter 2 tomorrow, so unless something comes up that leads to me not being able to, or I'm busy with something else, which hopefully won't happen, we'll be figuring out what the hell happened here. Yeah, DBD sounds good. Unless, I don't know if another Discord I'm in is getting together to play a game tonight. So it'll depend on if people actually get together for that, and if there's enough people or too many people. Anyways, thank you all for coming out and watching. We got a lot of questions, and they're going to hopefully be answered tomorrow. Goodbye. Ay, ay, ay.